Hi YouTube. If you have seen the RC conversion of this particular 150 scale diecast to RC, there's a video up of it running in my video feed below. In my video history, you can find one of this up and running. I have a couple of issues with the truck though. Number one, the diecast cap, this part here is entirely diecast, and when it's on here it puts all the weight up front and causes some issues, mainly number one around the steering. So the steering servo that I got is probably Orlando, I don't know, 0.7 gram, 0.7 gram ish steering, which is not strong enough to kind of turn the wheels with the cabin on top. And the other problem is I want to have as much detail in the cab as possible. Right now with all this mess, there's pretty much not much room for the interior to go in. I kind of want the interior to go in together with all the electronics inside. The goal was to make it as scale as I possibly could without destroying as much of the model as I possibly could. I still want the lights to be in, I still want sound to be in. I do not have the signal module in just yet, but right now huge chunk of it is the receiver, and I plan to swap that out with this 4-channel Fly Sky receiver. I am not sure whether it will pair with my i6s. According to the description it does, so I'm gonna see whether I'm gonna solder all these pins together and then test it out whether it connects to my receiver. If it does, then this will go in, and I'm trying to minimize this footprint a little bit more, and in the hope that I can squeeze in the interior back in here and cover up as much of these wires as possible. On top of that, I will be adding some weights at the back here. Probably bought some weights somewhere. Yeah, probably got some weights which I will add into the model just to make the back wheels a bit heavier. So the last axle is the only one that is driving the truck right now, and it needs something to push it down and it will drive a whole heck of a lot better. There's no working suspension on this truck right now, but it needs weight to be a little bit on the back side and it will drive smoother. Right now this die-cast wheels doesn't give a lot of grip in certain surfaces. It just keeps slipping, and there's a lot of wheel spin going on, especially when the weight is all up front. So let's see how that goes. Alright, quick update. I finally got the chip soldered. I soldered the pins to the chip. I got it all running and hooked up, and for the past 15 minutes I was trying to bind this receiver to my i6s, and it's something very weird that's happening. I don't know if this is normal. I've never experienced this before. Now the sticks, if I testing it, I can see that the servo is working, and I'm moving my sticks right here. But the odd thing is, when I was trying to bind it, it does not give me a confirmation that the receiver has bound to the transmitter. And even right now I can't, there's usually a battery sign here, the RX, and this one is the only receiver I've got that doesn't have a RX sign, and it doesn't have any beep to tell me that it's bound or connected or whatnot. I could switch this off right now. I could unplug this one, and it doesn't give the disconnect tone to say hey, I've lost connection to the receiver, right? And there is no way you can set up fail safes and everything for this FS 4-channel to a FS2A 4-channel receiver. So that is very odd to me. I have never seen this before, never experienced this before. Maybe it's supposed to be like this. It's new. I have no idea. If you guys know about it, let me know. But since it's working right now, I am going to swap it into the truck and see how much space I could save from using this one. I might need to just solder the wires and not use these pins, but I like to have some maintainability, you know, just to make sure that I can swap this out whenever, you know, shit goes wrong with the truck. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so quick update. I have swapped out the 6-channel receiver to this 4-channel, and I just want to quickly test it out. And you can see how small this thing is. Now this is the sound chip, right? The DAS micro sound chip, and this is the 4-channel receiver. They are almost the same size. They almost look the same. Right now, I guess the biggest thing is the speaker. Yeah, the main ESC board is the biggest, but it has a rightful place to sit that doesn't show up in the cab. Now these things will most likely show up in the cab, so I need a good way to like tie all this together, make sure there's enough space. But just to see if everything is working or not, I got this hooked up to the servo as well, and you can see that the servo is moving. You can see that the lights are flashing. I have control over that as well, and I have control over the engine side. Alright, it took me some time because I was trying to find a way to mount the steering servo. The previous servo is just about the right size to fit in the middle, and this one is a tad bit larger and I can't fit it in here, so I kind of had to move it to the side. But as you can see, it's working like perfectly right now. It's very strong. I can feel that it's very strong, it's very precise, and I'm just make sure everything doesn't catch. One side does turn more than the other, but I need to set the end points anyway so that it doesn't rub on the arches. I had to cut the wheel arch a little bit on both sides just to free up like more room space and everything for the wheels to spin when it's turning. But that also means I could put this one additional detail piece back into place, so it just have a little bit more details, and it also prevents the steering mechanism to run out of place. But I absolutely love how precise the steering is. It's absolutely centered straight right now. The servo is doing a great job having to push and pull the steering, and it does look like everything is working fine. Drives fine. Alright. Yeah, and I'm liking where it is right now. Let's try to put everything together and see how it goes. Alright, so I've put everything together, and as you can probably see, I left the interior out again. It's just too tight. The interior is unfortunately quite a big piece, and it takes up a lot of space in there. That means I kind of have to squeeze everything to a very uncomfortable level, which I really don't want to be breaking any cables, especially for the lights. Those SMDs are extremely tiny, and I really don't want to be ripping those off after all the hard work, hours and hours of hard work. right now I think it's at a place where I'm really happy again. You can see I added 3 pieces of weight in this at the bottom, and it really is a lot heavier, but that also means that the ground clearance are a lot less right now, and this thing can probably barely climb any sort of incline without like scraping the belly. Works well on smooth surfaces, I think. Yep, but again, anything this small pretty much have to work on smooth surfaces anyway. But right now on its own, the steering is strong enough to do the turns. As you can see, no issues there. Absolutely happy how it comes out. And moving forward and backward, it's a lot better now. It runs on its own weight. It is a little bit more heavy right now, and you can see like the motor struggling, and it kind of jerks a little bit back and forth, kind of rocks a little bit, but that's just how it is. It runs absolutely smoothly on its own right now. I have no more issues on tires not catching and everything, maybe not on this stable surface. Alright, so this is where we are, where everything is put together, and just want to show what the finished product looks like. I could turn on the lights, and you can see the lights are on, headlights are on. Have some brake lights. Right, and the steering is actually working even with all the weight of the trailer on it. Alright, so it is driving quite well now. You can see the steering working as well. Let's turn on the sound.